G'day modelling dudes. Well, I think we've had enough for the flappy things and certainly enough fockering, that's the type of aeroplane, for now, and we really need to get back to the tanks, don't you think? Yes. So here's the Panther, and you might be able to see there I've got a lot of shiny photo etch on there. Yes, I've done the grills and I did the back as well. There's all kinds of things on there. I don't know if it's going to show up. I'll run some photos and you can see. But I put it on where it's needed and where I thought it would improve it. There was some photo etch call for some tiny little parts, and I compared them. Here's a pic, right? And quite frankly, the photo etch one was all well and good, but it wasn't the right scale, and it really wasn't working for me. And I would have to do a lot of work to make each one of those, and then a lot of changes to the kit to get them on, and it just wasn't worth it. So instead, I've gone with the plastic. These are basically the little tie hooks. I've gone with the plastic ones. They're fine. It's really good. So, you know, I bought the photo etch kit for this, Edway photo etch. I didn't have that last time. I picked it up. It was only like a shekel. It wasn't much at all. And I mainly picked it up because I wanted these grills. And that's about it. That's all I wanted. And there's a few little brackets and things. I thought I'll add those. And there was a fender at the front here. There was a photo etch fender. And again, here's a comparison pic. Now, the fender, I made it up. Well, I made most of it up. I didn't bother putting the extra bits on. But when I compared it to the plastic part, there really wasn't much in it. The plastic part's fairly thin. In fact, the photo etch set I've got is for a generic Panther G, and probably going back to older models, which had not as nice fender parts, because I noticed that with the old fenders were in this kit. But this kit also had a new sprue with these better fenders on. So all I ended up doing, the only thing I added was, I'll show you a little pic for that too, but in here I added some photo etch around the little convoy light there to help things out. And that's all I needed. That's fine. Now the other thing I found when I got the photo etch is I managed to score a barrel. A metal barrel, one piece. Now, there wasn't a one piece in this. There were two sets of two-piece barrels in this, and I sort of looked at them and went, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This was only a shekel, so I managed to pick this up, and it's got all these lovely little gromity bits and stuff and all the rest of it, and they all screw together. I'll put it together in a second, show you a pic. And that's how it all screws together, and it's really lovely and it's really detailed, and that's going to save me a lot of work, and it's just going to turn out so much better and give me so much pleasure. And that's the reason some people have asked me in the forums, why do you bother with a metal barrel? Well, often the detail you get in the metal barrel will far surpass anything that the plastic can be. Sometimes it doesn't. Some kits I've looked, and the plastic parts are just brilliant. So there's no need to buy a metal barrel, especially if they are slide moulded single piece. I mean, it's fine. Only time I add aftermarket is it going to make things better. And here's a case in point. I picked up some magic tracks for this, right? Now, I like magic tracks. Now, this kit did come with indie links. So there were the individual links that I could have quite easily made up and got the sag and everything that I like for my tanks. But the guide horns in the indie links weren't drilled out. So, all hollowed out. And so that's a minor point. I probably could have lived with that, But they were also all on a sprue. See? Here's a pic. These are crisper and sharper. These are much nicer, much better moulding. And all the little guide horns are hollowed out. So it was worth half a shekel. I kid you not. Half a shekel for me just to pick up a set of these magic tracks. And I'll keep those other links for this. You never know, they might come in useful for something down the track. So what I thought with this video is we might put these magic tracks on, because I get asked about that all the time. People are always saying, indie links are really hard. Well, they're not. And magic tracks are the easiest. They are magic. They are simple. They just fall onto the model. And I've done this before in other videos where they were little Panzer IIs and Hetzers and things like that, where the links were really small. These are great big links, so we should be able to see these nice and clearly, and that should be a good way to demonstrate my easy method for putting individual links on your tank. Okay, I'm all organised now with my magic tracks. Those are my magic tracks there. These ones here, these are the links that are supplied in the kit. Now, interestingly, I counted out my magic tracks because it's always best to go through your magic tracks just in case there's a couple of dud ones. Occasionally you come across a few that are distorted and bent and you won't be able to use them. But I was lucky, these are all fine. They're really nice, they're very well detailed. Now my count here is there's 160 there. These are all piles of 10, so 4, there's 160, 170, 173. So if I halve that, I'm only going to get 86 and a half links per side. Okay, now the kit, well, this is interesting. The instructions tell you spruce C is solid of links, and there's 8 in each one of these. There are 6 of those frames. That's 48. So basically 4 of those are going to give you 192, do your math. Now you need 12 because, although this picture's not correct, if you look further on into the instructions, let's talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, here we go. They ask you to make up their 3 pairs, so that's 6, and they go on the racks on the side. So you're going to lose 12 to go on each side. So if that's got, if basically the kit had 192, then minus your 12, you're going to have 180, it's 90 a side. Oh, okay, well we've only got 86 there. But here's the third, this is what I love about Dragon, is inconsistency. I actually got 5 frets in the kit of these, not 4 frets, 5 frets. But they're missing a few, so instead of 48 there's only 42 on those. So 42 times the 5 is 210. So take away your 12 that you need for each side, 198, 99 left over each side. So you got 99. The instructions seem to indicate about 90, and I've only got 86 and a half per side. Now, best thing to do will be read the instructions and see how many they want you to put out. Well, this is Dragon for you again, and this is what you learn about Dragon, is it's all vague, vague, vague. Here it is. Glue C15 to more C15s and whack them on there. And there's nowhere any indication of how many. And it's unusual because just about every Dragon kit I've built, they go 99 times 84, whatever, they tell you how many links should work. And it's usually correct. I mean, that's the good part about it. But here they haven't. So I just sort of gone, oh, well, just chuck the links on, see how you go. You know. So I actually had to ask some rivet counters. Yes, this is the first time rivet counters have actually been useful. When I said, rivet counters, how many bloody links are there each side in a Panther G? And they came back with 86. Phew. So I have got 1 spare here. I should be able to do 86 on each side, and if I do find that one's not fitting too well, I'll be right. And then on the sides, up on the fenders, I've taken the top off here, so this is easy to work, because there's going to be a bracket here, and there's going to be basically 6 links here and 6 links here. I can either use the ones in the kit, which are not as good because their guide horns are solid. I don't know if you can see, it probably won't focus. But take my word for it, those guys are solid. I'll do some close-ups or something. Those guide horns are solid, which is not that big a deal, you know. I could get the pin vise out and just drill out 12. It's just 24 holes to drill. Oh, I could do that while I'm watching TV tonight. Yes. Anyhow, all right. This sort of prep is important when you're doing links. Be aware, how many do you need? Which way up are they going to face? Now, this is the next thing. Links have a direction. Now they could go up this way, say on the front sprocket, or they could go up this way on the front sprocket. Generally, German tracks sort of, there's 2 little businesses in here, I always find they kind of point up, but I'll just need to double check that. So let's find a photo and make sure we know exactly which way up these links should go. Now if you have a look at this photo, this is a nice colourful little panther and it seems to be fully restored. And if you have a look at the links, it looks fairly obvious which way they go. Now the edges of them are sort of worn, so there's nothing there, because normally there's little ridges and marks on the edges of the links, but they're worn flat. So anything can go by is little scoops. Now if you have a look at them, the outside ones point up. Okay, well that must be how they go then, alright? No. Let's have a look at a World War II black and white photo, this one. Now, it's more than likely the World War II photo is going to be correct, and if you're not sure, look at 2 or 3 of them, and usually that will confirm the correct way any part goes on your vehicle, if you want to be accurate. And I like my track links at least to be pointing the right way. I mean, it's a pretty basic sort of thing, and it's not hard to figure this out. You just find some pictures. I just went on Google. Alright, so on this one, they're pointing the other way. Alright, have a look at the little scoops. But the biggest telltale giveaway on these, because these track links haven't been worn flat from years of running on asphalt, is there's little ridges there on the bumps, on the bars that touch the ground. And those little ridges have got diagonal little sections. And those are on my links, and I can match them up perfectly. And if I do, the links are on the opposite way to the restored one. Now this happens quite a lot. Restored vehicles, people do their best, but they don't put them together correctly. Either they haven't done the research, or they don't have Google, or they just didn't care, or you know, some mistake is made. And there's plenty of classic cases in history, like the Matilda, where the wrong colour was put on something, and everyone swears that's it. Well, it isn't. Somebody didn't do their research, somebody got it wrong, and then everyone thinks that's the way to do it. I'll have a look at museum restorations, and they're kind of handy to see how things kind of should fit together. But I'll try and find a World War II photo to back it up, to be sure. And a lot of the Dragon kits, you get left links and right links, and they're usually 2 different colours. So that makes it easy to know which side they should go on, because usually there's a sort of a locking pin or something that has to go to one side. But with these, no. These just go on either side as long as they're pointing the right way. So I'm all set. Every link is positioned correctly as long as I start at the bottom and wrap around to the top. And I'm ready to start. Now what I need is 4 things to get my links together. This is my easy method. I'll need some tape. Double-sided tape would be great, but I can just use some Tamiya tape, and I'll show you how I get that sticky side up. I'm going to need a heavy rule. It doesn't be super heavy, but something that's got a bit of weight in it, and something that basically pushes down nice and firmly at the edges. And this one's a little metal rule that I use. Now I've got some tweezers. Now tweezers are going to be your best friend here for being able to actually pick up and put down the links. You could use a wax pencil, and that is possible. But the tweezers give you that certainty that you've grabbed hold of that guide horn, you can put it where you want it to go, and then you can use your tweezers to lock them together. And then last but not least, you're going to need some slow cementing glue. Now, I wouldn't recommend Tamiya Thin. Here in Australia it dries so fast. I mean, we use Tamiya Thin here if we want something to go and set. Because within seconds, Tamiya Thin is almost like CA glue for us. Fupa! It's done, okay? So, doesn't work in my climate. Don't know about yours, but I wouldn't recommend it anyway. The Rebel Contactor is a bit slower, a bit more fluid, and it allows you to cement the links, and then they're all kind of bendy and flexible, and then you can get them the shape that you want. Now I've done this many times on the many videos I've done about track links, and I'm sure this video will be no different. You'll see shortly. Now I put the Tamiya tape down, sticky side down, then roll it over, place the rule on, and that makes it sticky side up. Easy as that. Now I've got links set out here for one side. They're groups of 10, so there's 80 and there's 6. So the best guess is 86. I've had anything from 83 to 90 recommended to me now as the number of links, but we'll go with the 86 because that's half of the links that I have, and we'll see how that fits once we put them on. Now, as I said, I get the pick up the track links by the guide horn, see, nice and easy, and I've worked out which way they're going to face. Okay, so I'll start on the edge of my rule, I put my first one down. And the reason I've got this tape curled over and up that way is now I've got a surface where I can bump them and they won't fall off the table, okay? So it should just be an easy matter of placing that one on top and clicking in. Easy as that. And doing it this way too, usually it's a good idea to check with your tracks which is the way they'll fall down. Like if they work better going from the left to the right, I would have started on this side, right? But these, if I'd gone that way, it would have been a bit hard, because if you look, see, there's the troughs, and that's the piece that's going to fall in. So if you try and go that way, well, you're pushing your troughs over the top of your lips. It won't work. You need, probably easier if I do that, right? You need to put those lips into those troughs, which means you're going to have to start here and work that way, just as I'm doing. Does that make sense? You gathering what I'm saying? Yeah, because you try and go backwards with your links, assembling them, you'll soon find it's just too hard, that you have to try and slide them in, and that's a bit hard when you've got the sticky surface. So you need to have that figured out. I already know that. I already knew that before I started. I've done quite a lot of German tracks. And away we go. So assembly is as easy as that. And these links are like a piece of cake compared to like doing a Panzer II. So I'll keep going. You notice I sort of ran out of sticky tape at link 76, so I had 10 more links. Well, that's okay. That has happened before with other big tanks that I've done. You don't quite get them on a foot rule, but that's not a big issue. You just extend your tape and slide your rule down. Your rule's only there as a template, so these ones back here, they're fine. They're not going anywhere. See, look, they're quite happy. And that's the beauty of this method. Everything is just stuck together here, and you know, it's as long as you're not too heavy-handed with it, this pretty well will hold everything in place. So there you are, okay? And as I've gone along, I've just made sure that none of them are popped up, and these are held together fairly well. There's a few stubborn links here and there that kind of pushed against me, but generally it's all done, and you don't need the rule now. The rule was only there as a guide to try and get them straight. So I've got a nice run of 86 links. So here's the easy bit. Take your contactor glue, right, or any slow setting glue, and what I do is the centre is all you're going to need. So one little dab of glue on the centre link, and it'll fall down inside there. And the reason I pick the centre is usually you've got wheels that will cover this, so if there are any glue marks, they won't be seen. And anyhow, invariably we'll put mud and dust and grime and stuff all over our track links, so, you know, for all the trouble we go to, they end up getting covered in crap. You end to wonder why we bother, but they do look good if you do indie links. They really do, even if it's only a few that are going to pop out. So easy as this, and again I'm banging up against that bloody iPad stand. Tell you what, doing these videos is hard. Modelling's easy. Videoing's hard. Oh, there we go. Okay, so time check for me, it's just on 9:30 on Easter Friday morning. So I'll let these set for about 15 minutes. I'll go make myself a cuppa, and at 9:45 I'll wrap these around my tank. By 10 o'clock it'll all be done. And I could have done 2 sets of runs at once if I wanted to, but I decided not to do that with the video. It'll look a bit too complicated and sort of confusing. But there's nothing stopping you from, say, having your rule in the middle and doing a set of links either side, doing the 2 runs together, cementing the 2 runs together and wrapping them on together, because it literally only takes a minute or so to put them on. They won't get any, you know, more glued and set in place, because really these are going to take a good hour or two after I've wrapped them to set. Alright, enough waffling. I need a cup of coffee, and come back in 15 minutes. Alright, it's 15 minutes later. It's only a couple of seconds for you, I know, that's a magic television. Now, I've shown it before, to get the tracks off, you just put tweezers underneath the tracks, above the sticky, and easy as that, nearly. My extension got a little bit in the way, but that's okay, that came off. Alright, so that's now given me my whole track length, you see, and it's now going to be easy to wrap around, so we'll get all that out of the way. Now, what I found as I started to wrap these, one, I'd accidentally dislodged the end link over there that was on my extension sticky tape, so it fell off, and then some of them weren't really holding and bending the way they should. I thought, well, this is strange, it's never happened to me before. Then I had a look at my links, and my method of just putting that little dab of glue in the centre, well, that works fine for all the small tanks and basically the Russian tanks I've done. That's fine, but these are great big heavy links, and there's a lot more plastic going on, there's a lot more bendiness there. So I've gone back and added a dab of glue either side, just basically inside the guide horns all the way down, and I've allowed a little more time for that to get tacky and set. So here's a bit of learning, and this happens. You know, you have methods and you have ways of doing things, and sometimes they go wrong, and you have to go, well, what happened? What did I do wrong? Well, essentially, these just required a little more gluing. So now that I've got enough cement on there to really keep the thing together, let's see if we can wrap them round. So I've got everything facing the right way, my links are the right way. Now the thing I've got to look at is the sprocket. That's going to be the hardest thing. And what I also need to decide is where am I going to join. And I'm going to join, say, hidden. I don't want the join to be seen up here. Not that it should matter, but I like to join somewhere around here. So that means basically if I want the join there, sort of my midpoint's going to be here. So we'll pick the midpoint somewhere there. Make sure we get the guide horns inside. The first thing we've got to do is this sprocket. Getting into this sprocket is going to be the most important part of this. Now, there we go, they will fit. They just require a little bit of persuasion. Now, using different links that weren't in the kit could be problematic, and I found it's a little bit of a squeezy job to get these on, but you can do it. So, sorry if I'm obscuring camera angles, but this required, I did a couple of test fits and it required a bit of fiddling. So there we go, they will fit. That is usually something you should check before you put on links. If you're using links that are aftermarket, check that they'll actually fit. I found with the BT7 that they didn't fit. That I ended up having to actually modify the rear sprocket. Now, that's not looking too bad. They're going to fit around. Now, have I got too much sag? Now, according to my research, this is where it folds down to. It sits on that one, not this one or that one, but that one there is where it sits to, and then it has a natural sag from there. So let's get it sitting in its sprocket where it should be. Okay, that one there should fall that way. That is, if I haven't gone off camera, that's basically the look that I want. So following that right along, that's sitting exactly where I want it there. And I'd say I got one link too many, wouldn't you? I'd say, oh hang on, I've lost a bit there. Well, if I put that on, that's just too loose. So I'm going one link less. And the beauty is, because these aren't cemented hard, is that link should, in the theory, you should be able to rip it off. There we go. So I should be able to join to there and get the kind of sagginess that I want, which isn't much. There isn't much of a waviness in the wheels in this particular tank. So I've got to join those two. Now I could use Tamiya thin here and pop that in, I suppose, and then it'll be glued. But really, it's not going to be too bad if I do it this way, which is just putting a little bit on the joint there, and being on the bottom, once I've pressed those together, right, I turn this up this way and it's sitting on them to help them cement together. Alright, so they're just held together. I can't even remember which one it was now. They're looking so good, I won't mess with it. And the actual weight of the plastic. Now, a trick here is, if I just put this down, and I've only got one set of track links on, it's going to sit at a bit of a wonky angle because those wheels will fall down. So you need to prop up the other side if you want this thing to sit level. So it's just something that comes to hand that's about the same height as the thickness. Because these track links have got some height to them, see? So they've got probably 2, nearly 3 millimeters height there. So that's leveled that out. That's sitting fine. there's not much to do. Normally I'd go through and, you know, there'd be all the waviness in the wheels, but they don't really do that with these Panthers, so it only has to touch that wheel there. So as long as it's in my front sprocket, which it is, there's a bit of a curve there, it has to touch that one there. So what I can do to convince it to sit there is I can find something that I can use as space, and often I put cotton buds in and things like that, but that's quite a reasonable size space, so I'm going to have to find something. You just talk amongst yourselves and I'll have a quick look here. I should have been organised, shouldn't I? Alright, I found something to fit. I probably should have thought of this beforehand, and I should have planned ahead, but I didn't. Didn't know if I'd need any spaces. Now these are the pipettes I use for the thing, and they'll be perfect because they're not going to put too much stress on the tracks. In fact, I've got it on the wrong one. Roll it along. It should be on that one. And because I put something else in there before and it stressed the links actually out of shape, which is not what you want. And you can see you've got fettling time here to get things just right, because these links are not solidly glued in. That's the beauty of this method, in that using the slower setting glue. Now again, I should be able to put that one in there. Well, that way would probably be the way to go. And that's going to give me the kind of shape I want there. So again, as with everything, modelling, improvise, invent, create. Okay, so how do my links look? So looking around, making sure that I haven't got any links that are a bit wonky. They're sitting fine. The join here is perfect, again, because there's no stress. That's why I put the join here. There is no stress there. If I put the join up here or something like that, some people do that, but there's stress around curves. There's stress in those areas. If I put the join down the bottom like there or there, it's a nice flat area where really there's no problems. Oh, someone's pinging me on bloody Facebook or something. When's that video going to be out? When's that video going to... Oh no, there's a sale. I've just got a message. There's a sale. Yeah, Hobby Link Japan. They've got a boat sale. I've got to go. Oh, I'll be back in a sec. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't buy anything. No, there wasn't anything that I needed. So the Visa card saved a battering. Now let's see what we've got here. I've got a big lamp now. I'll show you this next time. Look. Oh! Yeah, we'll do a show and tell on the brand new lamp later on. Oh, I can't see a bloody thing now. I'm blinded. Right, let's have a look. The Panther's been drying that whole time that I've been messing around on Hobby Link at Japan, and voila. Yes, it's got tracks and it's looking bloody nice. So there you go, all done, and it really wasn't that hard, was it? Well, need a little more glue than in previous attempts of doing tracks. Even some of the large tracks on the Russian tanks didn't seem to need as much glue as this one. Teeth flying out. I got me dinner actually, all that excitement of buying stuff and then nothing really that I wanted. Ah well, that happens. Anyhow, here I am. I'll talk more about my new display cabinet next time and everything else, and some additions to the stash. Oh, I'll have to do a march up your date. So anyhow, if you're celebrating Easter, have a good one, whatever, you know, don't eat too many chalky eggs, whatever it is you got to do. Observe all your religious ceremonies. Yes, respectful. Now, well, that's it. That's it for this video. So that's how I put Dragon Magic Tracks on a kit. And I don't think it's that hard. What do you think? Comment, let me know. Alright, that's it. Hurrah from Australia, and it's goodbye from Harry Houdini.